Welcome, boys and girls. No. How's everybody doing? This is Midwest Tunes. No, we're not.
Hi,
Midwest
welcome
Chronicles.
to Midwest Tunes presents
There we go.
History of Midwest Ohio, or Chronicles of Midwest.
Midwest Tunes presents the Chronicle of the Mid. Fuck me. What's up, everybody? This is the Midwest Tunes presents the Midwest Chronicles. We're going to try to drop a little bit of history and insight on our local area. Just because we're all from this area, and as far as we know, there ain't nothing going on here. Never has been. But I think we're all wrong. And
Right.
if you just dig a little bit deeper into our history in this area, it's actually quite interesting. And we're going to try to bring some of them old historical events to light. And
Yeah, none of it was taught in school either.
no, we knew none of this.
Pretty interesting stuff, actually.
Right.
So I hope you guys enjoy.
So basically, the starting point of this we're all from Stryker, and one of the rumors that I was heard when I was a kid growing up in Stryker is that the cemetery, Oakwood Cemetery, is arranged in a wagon wheel.
Stryker, Ohio.
Yeah, and I never understood why this would happen. And it was told to me, and nobody ever had any explanation on why it was arranged in a wagon wheel. So did a little bit of digging, and come to find out, Stryker was the first settlement in Williams County, and it was the first county to be deemed important to identify its first settlers by using wagon wheels in the pattern in the cemetery. So at each spoke of the cemetery is a first settler, is how they use that to recognize everything. So, I mean, this dates back to way back in the old countries. Typically, people are buried and they face the rising sun. That's just typically how the cemeteries work. Not old ones like this. They were organized in wagon wheels, and it was important to identify who the first people were to organize that area. A lot of these things happened as people traveled from east to west. You'd run into problems. Your wagon would break. Your wagon wheel would bust down, and that's where you started your civilization a lot of the times. A lot of times it was agricultural reasons, but back then it wasn't like it is today. It wasn't all these merchants and shit. People created economy because it was things that people needed to survive, and people traded a lot more than they do now. If you couldn't find a wagon wheel replacement when your wagon broke down, you just better start building a house.
Actually, my ancestors had blacksmith shops that did carriage and wagon repairs.
Cool.
Locally, Williams Center, so that's cool that you say that.
Right on. There we go.
Yeah, but that wasn't until the early 1900s, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Until Stryker's already established,
Yeah, supposedly 1856. But anyways, in case you're driving by Oakwood Cemetery, never wonder why it's arranged in a wagon wheel. That's why. The first settlers. So go out there and check it out. It's actually pretty cool. There's some interesting people out there. William J. Knight, the famous train robber, which he robbed the Confederate train with a gang of people, and we can make a whole nother story about that. But
his parents are buried next to him too, aren't they?
yes. William J. Knight's headstone is the south-facing headstone in that wagon wheel. I think like the second or third row out. His parents and relatives are also there. He was born in Defiance. All that happened, then they moved up here. So Stryker was already established when he moved here. And he was already famous before he moved here, FYI. But anyways, yeah, there's that. Another interesting fact coming out of Stryker is that there was a company that tried to drill for oil in Stryker, right? When Stryker residents noticed gas continuously escaping from local wells, a company was organized in the spring of 1861 to search for oil. After drilling to the depth of about 70 feet, work ceased due to inadequate equipment and the outbreak of the Civil War. During the winter of 1864-1865, the Stryker Oil Company was organized at Boston, and in April of 1865, the company struck oil and gas in Stryker. So they thought that they were going to hit a fucking gold mine in Stryker, and they started building shit around it, right? After drilling 2 years to the depth of 860 feet.
Jeez.
That's deep, boy. Not enough gas or oil were discovered to make venture profitable, and the well was abandoned. Right? So basically said they just pack up their shit and they leave, right? Because the big dream just fell through because there wasn't adequate enough oil and gas coming out of there, right? Well, mineralized water began to regularly spout up from this well, and in 1870, a local newspaper reported hundreds of individuals were using it and praising its medical quantities, or medical qualities, right?
Yeah.
So basically, there's gas and oil. Well, people are, bathing in it and whatever, right? So in 1884, the Stryker Mineral Springs Company built a 2-story bathhouse at the northwest corner of the Center and Curtis Street. People traveled from far as California seeking mineral bath treatments to cure a variety of ailments.
So so I always heard the story that there was hot springs, like a hotel in Stryker.
Yes,
but
it was a bathhouse.
I thought it was where the Fox's house is at. But the Fox's house has always been a...
It says it was on the corner of Center Street.
So I don't know
Curtis.
where Center Street's at.
Well,
maybe I do.
We can pull that up on the map and we'll show everybody.
Yeah.
On July 26, 1900, a bathhouse burned down. About 15 years later, John A. Gardner erected this 2-story bathhouse in the same site. Over time, demand for mineral baths declined, and in 1953, the bathhouse was reopened as a nursing home. The business closed in late 1960s, and the building was razed in 1977. So, razed, I guess. On July 23rd, 1966, Stryker was one of the endpoints of the record-setting speed run by the New York Central RDC-3 M497 Black Beetle. Modified with a pair of jet engines as a rail line between it and Butler, Indiana, was both straight and flat. The car reached a speed of 183.68 miles per hour. That is an American speed rail record, and it still stands today. Ain't nobody beat that.
Where was that at in Butler?
In between Stryker and Butler, Indiana. Stryker was a starting point. How about that?
Motherfuckers just cruising with jet engines.
Yeah, world record.
Where'd you get these jet engines
Stryker
from?
involved. Nobody knew that shit, huh?
What
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was the year. Fuck me. 1966. July 23rd.
And who did it?
1966. The railroad. New York Central. If you take a ride through Oakwood Cemetery, it'd be the northwest corner. There is a huge, brand new headstone, and it is in the shape of a rocket. Right? It is kind of odd looking. It stands out like a sore thumb in the cemetery. And we drove by it, and I'm kind of like, what's that? It's Cameron, because our great-great-grandfather is buried out there, and he's one of the wagon wheel folks, right? We're getting there. This thing stands out like a sore thumb. I'm like, what is this? Well, long story short, the Cameron man and wife, it'd be Jim and Lonnie Cameron. That's their headstone, but it's kind of a landmarker because he worked for NASA, and he was an engineer when the Soviets and the Americans had their race, whatever. He witnessed. He's like one of the very few people to witness or to be alive still, and you know what I mean, be involved with that whole Soviet race, right? Long story short, he lives in Stryker, and he purchased the old Roop home that was supposedly Underground Railroad related. Pretty cool. It's very odd. It made newspapers and news around here because He's supposedly some sort of famous NASA engineer.
Hmm.
Now lives in a historical house in Stryker and has a crazy freaking headstone with a story etched in it. So,
The house always fascinated me as a kid, man, because it was so fucking big. Like, always riding by it, and it had, like, seemed like the most property in town, you know?
right,
I'm like, man, that whoever built that house was somebody.
big.
You could tell it's like plantation style, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder who, or what. So the original owner was the Rupp, right?
No.
No? So who was the original owner?
Mm-hmm. Not sure.
That'd be cool to know. Story on that, you know?
Yep, I did hear that Eli Burkholder interviewed the original of Ron Root or whatever, the guy that bought it, and he lost the original deed moving from his house in Stryker to where he lives now in Archibald. So I don't know. He'd probably be the only guy that would know that information, I guess.
Right.
Unless there's some sort of land deed in the artifacts.
Well, what about the Williams County auditor?
I don't know. Them people uptown are real helpful.
Website, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But we'll look into
The
that.
website's not real helpful either.
Yeah. That's about all I got for the knowledge on the Cameron headstone in the Oakwood Cemetery.
That was cool.
Yeah.
To be honest, I had no idea until you had mentioned that it was shaped like a wagon wheel.
All right.
I had no clue.
Yeah.
So then we went walking, and pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it really is shaped like a headstone, a wagon wheel.
Yeah, there's one guy, there's two stones in the middle. Somebody Chase, and then
William Chase and his wife.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I can't find any information
like he's the
about
hub, you know?
Right, exactly. So, because Guthrie was the first person to settle around Stryker, and he was a trapper around Beaver Creek.
1627 or something like that?
Yeah, maybe I got that information here, but maybe I don't. Yeah, no, I don't.
Have a great day, everybody. Knowledge is key.
Pretty shitty outro.